Question 6 is your the funny question with the apple seeds and the pigs at the end. So it goes into the cyanide poisoning. It gives you a lot of information here. Right, cyanide is an extremely poisonous chemical that affects aerobic respiration in mitochondria, and the symptoms of poisoning include an increased heart rate, breathing problems, and death. So it gives you a nice background here. A lovely picture of the electron transport chain and where exactly what is being inhibited. Now, with reference to that picture, explain how cyanide would prevent the process of aerobic respiration. Okay. If you remember from enzymes and allosteric site inhibition, it's actually an enzyme there that's being inhibited, but never mind. The key thing here is that the actual flow of electrons from your energy carrier, so from your NADH and your FADH2, from whatever comes out of glycolysis and mostly Krebs actually, these electrons that were powering the pump, these electrons need to be taken away by oxygen, oxygen as a final electron acceptor needs to be receiving those electrons and taking them away in the form of the oxygen and the proton then having combined with that electron to form water. Now, if that pathway is interrupted by the electron not being able to flow, you're going to get a clogging up of the whole system. You can't use those words, but that means NADH and FADH2 can no longer be oxidized here and lose that electron, which means they can therefore no longer go back to the Krebs and link and glycolysis to then be reduced there again. So you're going to have the whole thing breaking down because you simply have no way of oxidizing those energy carriers. How did the mark scheme say that? So ATP synthesis via the electron transport chain stops because cyanide stops the transfer of the electron to the final acceptor. You don't need to have the word oxygen here even, so you're good. Electrons cannot be accepted by electron carriers along the electron transport chain. So that's what I've tried to express with clogging up, so that you can't have the moving on of the electrons, that flow of electrons stops, which means that NADH2 and NADH, not H2, cannot be oxidized again. So there's a little hatful part there. Right, okay, so that would be how the mark scheme has expressed this question here. Okay, moving on to the next one here. Explain why blood lactate concentration rises as a symptom of cyanide poisoning. If your brain is automatically going anaerobic respiration, yes, boom, yeah, but you need to give me more than just a keyword. You'll need to give me the biochemistry of anaerobic respiration. So what is happening and what is being done? That it requires on you remembering the process of glycolysis and that NADH is being made in glycolysis. Now, because that NADH cannot be dropped off in the electron transport chain, because obviously that whole pathway here has been clobbered up and blocked off by the cyanide inhibiting, that NADH needs to be oxidized in a different way. How does it do that? You will need to remember that we had pyruvate. So pyruvate was made at the end of glycolysis. The pyruvate, why am I pronouncing this weird today? The pyruvate is accepting that electron. However, so it's oxidizing the NADH back into NAD, so it can be used again for glycolysis. And in the process, we are building up that lactate over and over again. I think I might have said it all, what's going into it. So the NADH from glycolysis can not to the Krebs cycle, to the electron transport chain. Okay, that's the second mistake here in this mark scheme. That's definitely NADH, and that is to the electron transport chain. Okay, the hydrogen is given to the pyruvate to make the lactate so that NAD is regenerated. Was maybe hoping for the word reoxidized again. Okay, but that's fine. So that glycolysis can continue to make ATP anaerobically. Right, so here we go. And you then have, is that the funny one coming up? Here we go. Here is the poisoning the pig question with apple seedlings. So note to yourselves, do not chew apple seedlings, and definitely not to the number that you would require. So here we go. The question was, apple seeds or the pips contain cyanide. If swallowed whole, it's no problem. You eat it and it comes out the other end. However, if chewed, then the cyanide will be released. It would not harm even small quantities, but it can be fatal. And then it gives you your numbers. It gives you your numbers of how much cyanide is sufficient to kill, how much one apple seed weighs, and how much per apple seed cyanide would be reduced. There are various ways of calculating this, this way around or that way around. I'm just at the moment imagining one of you in class coming to the board and doing it similar to the other equation. We had simultaneous equation and you need to kind of make sense of it. The way that I went about this myself, you know that 125 milligrams is enough to kill a pig. I need to know, first of all, how many grams of apple seeds do I need? Okay, how many grams of apple seeds do I need? If I get my 125 and divide it by 0.09, I'm going to get how many grams of apple seeds that I'm going to need. That division gives you number. Okay, this number then, which was how many grams of apple seeds. If you then divide it further by 0.6, you will get to the actual number of apple seeds. I'm not quite sure how clever the mark scheme is at expressing exactly the same thing, or if we'll need the same person on the board again explaining it in the most best way that I can't explain it. So yeah, what you should have gotten to is 2, 3, 15 or 2, 3, 14. It gives you a bit of leeway on the rounding there, so that's quite nice. That was question 6.